Hey everyone, today I'm here on a video on whether you should play the Void Knight Smite build. So I've got a lot of good things and a very few bad things to say about this build, and hopefully you guys can make a decision on this, whether you want to play the build or not at the end of this video. So yeah, let's get right into it. So first of all, we have really decent clear speed with Devouring Orb. It's a very pleasant skill to just run around with and basically be brain AFK, turn your mind off, and basically just run through the Atlas, or not Atlas but echoes and stuff, so that you can just clear the content without really thinking about much. Like the orbs will just go out and seek enemies on their own, and they'll just go and explode, and yeah, pretty much do all the work for you. And then whenever you encounter a a scary monster or a healthier monster that doesn't die so quickly, you can just smite them a couple of times and they'll die instantly, because smite is our main damage source of this build, and it's really insane. Like, it just completely destroys the enemy. But yeah, like, that leads on to my second point, in which the damage of this build is extremely high. You could say it's kind of unbalanced, I guess, but I don't know, to be honest, how Last Epoch balances the game at the moment. I'm not very in tune with the balance stuff that goes on with the game, but yeah, it does feel very strong, and I think it's really nice. It feels really good to play. Like, it does everything you'd want it to, basically. And then it goes on to my next point, in which the build is very tanky. We scale a lot of block, we scale some endurance, some crit avoidance, and some armor, and all of this together just combines into something that's quite tanky. And if we ever want to tank a mechanic, we just use Rebuke, and we can basically just tank absolutely anything in the game. If we use Rebuke, like, we're like genuinely immortal. There's been so many times where I've just limit tested on this build and just stood in like a massive explosion or something from a boss, and it just does negative damage if I just press Rebuke. So it's pretty cool. And yeah, and the another point that's kind of related to the walking simulator point is that the build is very chill, right? Like, if you just want to chill, this is the build for you. Like, yeah. Like, there's like nothing really else to say on that point, other than you're just gonna have a really good relaxing time with this build, mainly because, of course, the Devouring Orbs go for you, and you're also tanky, so you never have to be stressed about anything. So yeah, if you guys are looking for that type of build, you could easily be like listening to podcasts or watching some Netflix or something while playing this build. Like, you barely have to think. So if you want that experience, then this build is definitely for you. And then a final point to where my positives on this build is that basically it's just very easy to gear. All your gear can be crafted. You don't need any uniques. You don't need any exalted items or anything. So it's yeah, very, very easy to gear. Very new player friendly, in my opinion. And yeah, I'm a new player myself, to be honest. I've only got like 50-60 hours on Last Epoch, so obviously that's a very small amount of time. And the fact that I'm deathless and I got this far, I think, shows that the build is actually quite new player friendly. So yeah, those are all my positive points on the build, and now I'll go into the couple negative things that you guys might want to consider before playing the build. Alright, so let's talk about a couple of negative things about the build. There's one more of a outlier one, and then there's a less of a problem overall, and more of a personal opinion problem type of thing. So the one major problem with the build that I don't like, and is the main reason why I'm stopping, is because of this Devouring Orb cast speed, right? So, and your anomaly cast speed as well. So when you cast it, your character has to stand still, and if we do the numlock tactic, right, where auto casts, you basically have these mini things where you are kind of locked into that position. Now, I don't like this because it adds a level of clunkiness to the build. It's very, very minor. Like, for a lot of people, this is not going to be a problem. But when you play with this for a long time, it starts to get annoying. So I personally don't like this that much, where you just get stopped like that, as you can see. And sometimes they can happen at a similar time or at the same time. So it makes the clunkiness even more, if that makes sense. So that's like the main issue with this build that I don't like, and I know it's a price you have to pay for auto casting and not controlling where you can cast, because the only reason I don't like this, guys, is because it can lock you into a place where you're trying to dodge, and you can sometimes take a massive hit. And yeah, it's not like I've died or anything. I'm still deathless, but I just don't like that type of restriction. And I wish I wish Devouring all kind of just went off instantly rather than having that cast time, and same with anomaly as well. But I think that would not really be balanced, maybe. So yeah. Okay, so the second issue with the build is that I think over time you will get really bored with this build, like after a long time. Like for me, I know that I got bored just after a while. I play this build for a long time, by the way, guys. Um, and I know I'm only like level 82, but I've been doing all of the lower regions as well. I unlocked all these and got all the blessings for these areas. So I don't know. I think I've been playing a decent amount on this build. It's not like as much as what other people would play. Like I didn't get to like the complete end game, like with the higher level areas and the corruption and all that. But I think I played a decent amount. And I don't know. I feel like it just gets a bit boring just walking around. Doing a walking simulator. Even in PoE, whenever I play an auto bomber, I can't usually play that build very long because it just doesn't feel that interactive. So yeah, that is my thoughts about that. I can show you guys a quick build rundown, and then like what the gear I have. Now I just want to say that my gear is not optimal. It's, it's good for where I'm at, and definitely a lot of things can be improved. But this is where I think I'm going to stop playing the build, and I'm going to play a different build because I'm really excited to play other builds in this game as well. And I just don't want to spend all my time on one build. So let's first of all go over the idols. I think that's the easiest thing to cover here. So we have idols with increased damage with Smite. Now I want you guys to know that these idols make a big difference. They boost your damage a lot. So as you can see, we're at 55,000 tooltip over here. We take one out, we drop to 50,000. So that's 5,000 just from one. Which, okay, tooltip might not be that accurate in this game, but it's still an indication of what's giving you damage. So yeah, that's quite a big boost. And then for the medium idols or the small idols, or the 2-socket idols, we're running a crit chance health, crit chance resist, crit chance resist, crit chance health. So we really want crit chance, guys. If you can see here, we have let's see, damage. Where's my multiplier? My multiplier is here, 325. And if I press right click, we get some more crit chance. But as you can see, our crit is really low. But the thing is with Smite is that we hit like very frequently. So even if our crit is low, we're getting a lot of crits kind of still. So it doesn't feel that bad to only have a little bit of crit. But I think you do want to get more crit on this build as much as you can. And when it comes to passives, I still haven't got everything, of course. Like I need to take 3 more points into Heaven Fire. And then I need to take a bunch of points into Eternal Form and Dread. That was like where my last points were going to go. But I don't think I'm going to be playing this to 100. So that's that. Okay, let's get into the wand, right? So we have a ideal base, which is a Dragonhorn wand. And the reason you want a Dragonhorn wand is because it gives adaptive spell damage and cast speed. This is the best base, I think, for the build. There might be a better one, but it might be in like a higher tier or higher tier content or something. So yeah, so on this one, the main stats to get is cast speed and crit multi. This seems to be the best, and here I've got both at T5, which wasn't hard to hit because basically in this game you can deterministically get T5 rolls on everything. You might brick a few items on the way there, but eventually you're just going to hit it. So that's something that's really cool about this game as well. You don't have to worry about trading for it. You can just make it yourself, and I just absolutely love that part about this game. I can like just go through the game solo, have a great time, craft all my things, and that's it. I don't know, that is such an enjoyable experience, not having to trade for anything. And of course you've got like exalted items, which will give you like a T6 roll, which is always like higher than something that you can craft, but they're not, you don't need exalted items in your build, and you can do all content a lot of the time with just crafted gear, which is, you know, super nice. And then we've got on this helmet, we've got a void damage and spell void damage. Now it's really hard to find this prefix, and I really wanted to find more to craft them on this helmet, but I wasn't able to, because what you can do if you find other helmets with this prefix, the increased void damage and spell void damage, is that you can Rune of Shattering it in your crafting, and this basically destroys an item that will make you affix shards based on the mods of the item. So yeah, and you can't really drop this as a shard. I don't think there's like some affixes in the game where you can't drop them as shards and you can only shatter them from based on gear that you've dropped. So that's something I'm not too sure on, but I think is the case, because, or they're like extremely rare, because I haven't gotten a single increased void damage plus spell void damage drop as an affix shard. So yeah, but maybe I haven't played enough, maybe it only drops in higher tier content. And then the other thing about this helmet is that it has crit multi and armor, which is really nice. And then we have this amulet. Now I didn't change this amulet from last video, guys. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get anything better. I think I could have if I really tried to craft one from scratch and kept trying and failing. That maybe would have worked, but other than that, I wasn't able to replace the amulet. And then we have the chest piece, and the reason why this one is quite nice is because it has a really high block effectiveness. As you can see, it's high rolled on the tier 6, which is 927. And then it's also got an implicit 517. It's also got implicit endurance, which is insane. And I also couldn't put endurance on the shield because I needed void resistance. So this was a huge boost of survivability, this shield. And I think this is actually a really nice shield. I still obviously would have liked to have higher tier armor on here and higher tier block chance, but unfortunately the item got fractured, so I can't do anything more to that. But I think it's still a pretty good shield. I think this could have been an end game shield for me. Unfortunately, it doesn't have poison res, which is the other base that you can get. And if we were to get poison res on here, we could change up all the gear that has poison res. Because that base gives you like 75 poison res. I think it's called a carapace shield, and that would have allowed me to get other mods on other pieces of gear. On the chest piece, we've got this insane stat, increased void damage and 10 flat spell void damage. So I think it's the same thing as this helmet, but we actually dropped this as a tier 5, which was really insane, because of course that is like, this is like such a big boost to the damage. So let's see, right? By the way, my tooltip is varying damage because of my autocast here. But let's say it's at 55k. We take off the chest piece, it's at 43, right? So that's sorry, this is really bad, but yeah, it does drop to 43 from 55. So also this implicitly has crit chance. I think this is a really good chest piece. Unfortunately, it has mana, otherwise I really would have liked to put vitality on it. That would have been really, really nice. And that would have been, I think, optimal for end game for me. And then we have our vitality rings or coral rings with crit chance, crit avoidance. Endurance threshold was a mistake. Apparently you're not really supposed to craft endurance threshold on many things, and you just want to mainly focus on getting your endurance as high as possible, because I think that at least what I've observed is that your endurance threshold just goes up naturally as you level. So you don't really need to invest too much into it, but I might be completely wrong about that. But that's what I saw on the guide anyway. And then we have the other ring here with increased void damage, crit chance, really bad endurance and crit avoidance because the item got fractured, unfortunately, really early on, which I wasn't able to do anything about. And then we're still using the same belt from last video as well. I really don't like this belt, but it's just something that's getting me by for now. And it's got life resist and the cleansing of elements on potion use. And then we have these gloves here that give a ton of cast speed. It gives some crit chance and some resists. We got some boots here that give move speed, vitality, crit avoidance, and poison res. Pretty good boots. Basically has all the stats I'd want on it. And then finally we have a banner or whatever it's called, a relic over here that has +1 to smite. What this means is that you're able to put one more point into smite, which is super nice. And if you get the T5 roll of this mod, you can put 2 points into Smite. But to be honest, we don't need 2 points. Like the last point would go in a tournament anyway, and we don't really care too much about this. Like it's nice, but it's not the end of the world if we don't have it. And the main extra point that we used was into Conviction, which was, you know, a huge damage boost because it gives you flat crit. Yeah, it gives you base crit chance on Smite, which is really, really high, or like a really good amount to get. So that crit chance on the tooltip actually isn't accounting for that, I don't think, because this tooltip over here doesn't show you skill tooltip. It's just like an overall tooltip. So I think my Smite crit chance is actually quite a bit higher. And then we have crit multi, and this isn't fractured, so I was planning to still craft on this, but as you can see, if I try and craft on this thing and I want to get a higher crit multi, you can see here that it's only a 60% chance. I know it might as well fracture it, but I was thinking maybe I could get +2 to Smite instead of the crit multi, but it's a very slim chance because this mod +1 to Smite is another one of those rare mods where you have to shatter or it doesn't, you don't really get it as a drop, at least in my experience. And yeah, that is pretty much all the gear. I can show you my blessings over here, which has a unique drop rate. Now, I've actually heard or seen that you can actually farm for optimal blessings if you keep running the same area, but I personally didn't want to do that on this build because I wasn't enjoying going through the area that much. So yeah, we have a unique drop rate, we have belt drop rate, we have 10% chance to shred void resistance on hit. Now, I don't know if this works for spells, because this could mean something else in Last Epoch. This could mean for only melee attacks, or not melee attacks, but for attacks in general. But since I'm using a spell, maybe this doesn't work. I'm not sure, so let me know if you guys know the answer to that in the comments down below. But like, I just assume that this is working. I don't know how to check if this works, but yeah, hopefully it does, because that seems like a really good stat to have. And then we have wand drop rate, we have health regen, and finally we have prefix shard drop rate. So as you can see, my blessings are pretty bad. Like I've seen other blessings from what other people have, and they're kind of insane. So yeah, I think that is pretty much it for this video, guys. I don't really need to go into all this. Like I don't know why I did that. Oh, it's because I took the thing out, right? So yeah, I don't need to go into all this. Like this will all be in Boardman21's links down below, so make sure you go and check him out. He will get you guys set up for this build. And yeah, this is not really going to be a build guide. It's just you know, my current experience on the build. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.